Every evening, the lonely rancher noticed the same two little girls digging through a rubbish barrel behind the general store. They never begged. They never stole. They simply smiled at each other, shared whatever scraps they found, and disappeared before anyone noticed. But one evening, curiosity led him to follow them, and what he discovered beyond the edge of town shattered his heart forever. After the hook, I'll include your first like and subscribe CTA, then begin Chapter 1. This story's unique theme will be, kindness is never wasted because every act of mercy is seen by God. A Bible verse to be woven naturally into the story. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Matthew 25:40. The ending will focus on community compassion and restored dignity, not simply romance or marriage, giving this story its own memorable identity. Every evening, just before sunset painted the Old West sky in shades of gold and crimson, a lonely rancher named Caleb noticed the same strange sight. Two little twin girls, no older than 7, quietly appeared behind the general store. They never begged for money. They never asked anyone for food. They simply waited until customers had left, then carefully searched through a barrel filled with stale bread, bruised apples, and scraps that shopkeepers had thrown away. Whatever they found, they divided exactly in half, smiling at each other before disappearing down a dusty trail beyond town. Everyone else ignored them, believing they were just another pair of poor children. But Caleb couldn't stop thinking about them. Something about the way they protected each other reminded him of the younger sister he had lost many years before. One evening he watched one of the girls discover only a single piece of dry bread. Without hesitation, she broke it in half and handed the larger piece to her sister while pretending she wasn't hungry. That simple act touched Caleb more deeply than words ever could. If stories of kindness and hope warm your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because every story reminds us that one compassionate choice can change someone's life forever. The following evening, Caleb returned, pretending to buy supplies while quietly watching the girls. This time the storekeeper angrily chased them away before they found anything to eat. Instead of crying or complaining, they thanked him for allowing them to look and walked away hand in hand. Caleb followed them from a distance, careful not to frighten them. They walked beyond the wooden houses, past the abandoned blacksmith shop, across a narrow creek, and finally toward an old collapsed cabin hidden beneath cottonwood trees. As he stepped closer, he heard coughing so violent it echoed through the broken walls. Peeking inside, Caleb's heart nearly stopped. Their mother lay on a worn blanket, pale with fever and barely able to breathe. The cabin contained almost nothing: a cracked bucket, an empty flour sack, 2 broken chairs, and a tiny fire that had already burned out. The girls carefully placed their stale bread beside their mother, pretending they had already eaten in town. "We're full, Mama," one whispered gently. "You should eat." Their mother smiled weakly, broke the bread into 3 tiny pieces, and secretly pushed both daughters' portions back toward them when she thought they weren't looking. Caleb stepped back into the shadows, unable to stop the tears filling his eyes. He had seen poverty before, but never such quiet love hidden inside so much suffering. As darkness settled over the prairie, Caleb rode back to his ranch without revealing himself. That night sleep refused to come. He kept remembering the twins sharing every crumb, protecting their mother's hope even while they themselves went hungry. Early the next morning, he loaded his wagon with flour, beans, potatoes, warm blankets, firewood, fresh milk, eggs, medicine, and vegetables from his garden. Before sunrise, he quietly left everything outside the broken cabin without knocking. Hidden behind nearby trees, he watched the girls discover the supplies. They looked around, wondering who had performed such an impossible miracle. Their mother slowly opened a worn Bible lying beside her blanket. With trembling hands, she read aloud, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Matthew 25:40. Tears rolled down her face as she whispered, "The Lord has not forgotten us." Watching from a distance, Caleb finally understood that true kindness asks for no applause. The greatest miracles often begin when someone chooses compassion, even if no one ever knows their name. The next morning, Caleb stopped hiding. Carrying another wagon of food and medicine, he gently knocked on the cabin door. The frightened twins stood in front of their mother, afraid he had come to send them away. Instead, Caleb smiled and said, "No child should ever have to search for food in a rubbish barrel." He brought the town doctor, who confirmed their mother was suffering from severe pneumonia but could recover with proper care. Rather than moving them to his ranch, Caleb invited the townspeople to help rebuild the family's life. Some donated lumber, others brought blankets, clothing, and livestock, while the general store owner, ashamed of chasing the girls away, promised they would never leave hungry again. Within weeks, the broken cabin became a warm little home. Their mother recovered enough to sew clothes and bake bread, earning an honest living. The twins no longer searched for scraps. Instead, they carried baskets of fresh bread to other hungry families. Caleb smiled as he watched them, realizing that kindness doesn't end with one good deed. It grows in the hearts of those who receive it. Months later, the twins had become symbols of hope throughout the valley. Every Saturday, they helped their mother bake extra loaves of bread, not to sell, but to quietly leave on the porches of families struggling through hard times. Caleb never sought recognition for the kindness that had started it all. He simply smiled whenever he saw the girls laughing instead of searching for scraps behind the general store. One evening, the pastor thanked Caleb during a town gathering, but he replied, "I only gave what God first gave me." The pastor then read Proverbs 19:1-7, "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done." The entire town learned that real wealth is measured not by what we keep, but by what we willingly share. The girls never forgot the stranger who noticed what everyone else ignored, and because of one quiet act of compassion, kindness spread from one family to an entire community. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and visit us for more unforgettable Wild West stories where faith, compassion, and courage change lives forever.